spoke with the two deputies in the front yard, beyond the dirt area, as Delaney had instructed. Since they'd been upstairs, 2 more deputies had arrived. Oneida County was on the big side in terms of geography, and on the small side for population. The sheriff's department had 6 deputies on the payroll. The sheriff was always lobbying for more. The other 2 deputies hung back where the vehicles, including Brendan's, were starting to pile up in the dirt driveway near the shed. There was a line of elm trees running alongside the driveway, which was perhaps 1/8 of a mile. Route 12 was in the distance. On the other side of it was a field of corn. The corn had trouble during the growing season, and the gossip was that the crop was bunk. The land on that side with the unhealthy corn was part of a different property. That was Brendan's first guess. No one here grew crops. They may have once, but the place had clearly fallen to disrepair, and there were no signs of a working farm. No tillers, no silo, no animals. The only equipment was the tractor in the barn. He needed to get a better look at it, but his gut suggested that it didn't work. There was just no sense of an up-and-running agribusiness here. "Take me through exactly what you did when you got to the scene," said Delaney to Deputy Bostrom. The deputy described almost exactly what Alicia, 1 CSI, had reported upstairs. "Touch anything?" "No." Brendan thought that the deputy resented Delaney's questioning. Delaney seemed affable enough, but there was no doubt he had a tendency to take the tough approach. It was also an unusually high-profile case. Likely only 1 or 2 of the older deputies in the department had been involved in a murder case before. They felt out of their element. They were used to domestic violence calls and evictions. Brendan knew the beat. "Have you ever had to draw your weapon before, officer?" he asked unexpectedly. Delaney and the other deputies looked at him. While they all worked for the sheriff's department, they rarely saw one another. And Brendan Healy had only been a detective with Oneida County for 2 months. He had done road patrol for 3 years in another department. It was possible there was some resentment because he was new, because he was young, and because he was not a native son. "Yes, once." The deputy then glanced at Delaney. Delaney's eyes lingered on Brendan, who could feel the senior investigator's glare. A vehicle appeared on the road and turned down the dirt driveway. It came toward them, churning up a cloud of dust. The day grew hotter. "That's Clark now," said Delaney. "There's going to be people here, next of kin, reporters, rubberneckers. I want them back by the road. Put them in the corn if you can." "Yes, sir," said Bostrom. He was blond with a good build, probably approaching 40. Deputy Lawless was dark-haired, about the same age, overweight. Delaney looked at him. "Where were you?" Lawless opened his eyes wider. "I was at the back of the house." "When we arrived, you were at the back of the house, covering the back door." Delaney seemed to accept this. He then turned to Brendan. "Okay, call the district attorney's office. Let's get that warrant and keep our asses covered, homicide or not. Let's close off this whole site. The house, the outbuildings, nobody else parks in that driveway. We've already lost any tire tracks. How close is the nearest neighbor? That's the Falwell farm across the way." Delaney put his hand to his forehead, like a visor, and scanned the horizon. "His house is what, down there?" "The Falwell farmhouse is about a half-mile south, yes, sir," said Bostrom. Delaney turned back to Brendan. "You're on eyewitnesses. Anybody that saw a vehicle just prior to 8:15 this morning. Anything unusual. Find out how big the property is, where the boundaries are, who the neighbors are on this side of the road, that side of the road." Brendan swallowed. Despite his initial anxiety, he was disappointed that he wasn't going to work the crime scene. "Okay," he said. "Find out who the house belongs to. Find out everything you can about the girl in there, Heilshorn. If she's married, got a boyfriend, we're going to look at them. We're going to look down their throats and up their asses.